whatever, I always like to talk about this. I learned this a long time ago. I've been around in the education community for over 40 years, so a long time ago. One summer, there was the Korean Culture and History Summer Institute at Yale, not at UCLA. We went all the way to Yale for classroom teachers and university professors. And I learned so much about how to introduce culture, any culture. Could it be Korean culture, Armenian culture, whatever culture, or Hispanic culture, Mexican culture, whatever culture you work with. I learned how to introduce cultures at that institute. That institute was funded by NEH, National Endowment for the Humanities. Well, with the current administration, we don't even know whether NEH will survive or not. But, so I learned about these 4 different levels. I learned that first, when you introduce a culture, that the first level is ideal level. You introduce language. Let's read this together rather than me reading all the time. Read the different elements under ideal level of culture. Ready, go.
Literature, film, drama, performing arts, music, arts, religion, philosophy.
So I try to address one small segment of this ideal level of culture, literature and film. Number 2, the second level is social structure level of culture. And they are, let's read together.
Family life, life cycles, celebrations, relations, holidays, and festivals, education, organizations, history, economy, recreation, interpersonal relationships.
Of course, we cannot do all this. We teachers are so busy teaching very diverse students and trying to meet their needs. We don't have time all of that. But you choose one that you feel good about or you feel passionate about, that you can get more, you are more resourceful about, and choose one. Typically we talk about family life or typically we talk about holidays a lot. Okay, number 3 is a material, concrete level of culture. What are they? Go, read it. Yes, and it's easy to talk about food. And then the 4th level is ecological level of culture, and let's read the
Use of natural resources, attitude toward nature.
One of the anthropologists said that, and that was quite a while ago, and I forgot I should really give credit to him, but it's one of the anthropologists I learned. But I shared this with my colleagues when I used to work downtown at the Asian Languages and Cultures Department under Bilingual ESL Services Branch. Now it's called Multicultural, Multilingual Education Division. But and other cultural group educators who are familiar with other cultural groups, they kind of like that. They like to apply these 4 levels into their respective culture. I'm not used to this. I'm used to talking. I'm not used to this. Oh, is this the next one already? Oh, okay. The vegetarian. I got this book way before she won the Nobel Prize in Literature. She was the winner of the Man Booker International Prize. And as a matter of fact, I didn't like the book. And I never finished. That's very unlikely. Usually, I'm an avid reader and I finish, but only because I was completely turned off by violence toward women, and she all of a sudden decided not to eat meat. She refused to eat meat, and there was some violence. So I didn't like that. And at that time, I was a vegetarian myself. But then last year, all of a sudden, everybody was talking about this book because she won the Nobel Prize winner. She won the Nobel Prize award in literature. So I didn't even know where I put this book. I thought I threw it away, but I found this book. I have so many books at home. So I started reading, and I even recommended to read this at one of my book clubs. I'm not going to talk about summary of this book. I'm not going to talk about themes of this book. You just ask your ChatGPT, it will tell you, it will spit out all the summary, all the themes that you want to know. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to share my personal takeaway on that. In terms of themes, I tell you it's violence, repression, also desire. I'm going to leave that part out, desire, because I was in Korea just last month for 2 weeks. I had about 6 different speaking engagements, and high school teachers told me that that this book was banned in some high schools because of that part. So I'm not going to talk about it. And as again, the main character, Young Han, she refuses to eat meat, and that causes she's being alienated. That leads to social alienation and mental deterioration. The book talks about how society's expectations and gender roles and personal autonomy collide. It challenges the boundaries of society's norms and personal freedom. I will leave at that. How many of you have read that? Oh, but yeah, what's your take on this book?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a vegetarian, so that's not why I read it, but it was really good. She just kind of almost vanishes by the end of it, right? I just remember by the end, she's almost like a non-presence, like she's been erased.
Not
I
easy.
don't remember the desire part that got it banned though, so I'll have to go back and look at that. I really liked it, but yeah, I found it.
Yeah, she had, well, you're all adults, I can say, she had an affair with her sister's husband. So, Korean culture cannot accept that. That's why it was banned. Any other who read it? I thought I saw, yes, what's your take on that?
I think similar to you, I also could not get through the first part.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't read books like this.
Mhm.
It was a bit dark, but then I kind of was just like, I'll just read it, like I'll get over the slump.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad I did, because I ended up really enjoying her style of prose and like the way that she would just scripted, like the imagery was just so good. Like I read it in English, but I ended up thinking like, oh, I wish I had the Korean version, like the original version, so I can read it
Mm-hmm.
in the original like style that she was in. But even in the translated English version, I was like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like very uncomfortable, but very like I like it.
Mhm,
Like it was
mhm.
really good at the end too. And yeah, I can see why it got banned in Korea, but at the same time, like, I think it was a good read at the end of it.
Yeah, you know, I start my morning, my day by reading the LA Times and the New York Times. Max Kim, one of the very few Korean American reporters to the LA Times, sort of wrote saying that, I still saved that article, saying that, you know, the translator was Deborah Smith, a British person, right? I understand she majored in Korean or something, but according to, of course, that's his perspective. According to Max Kim, Korean American journalist, to the LA Times that the translator did such a good job, translated in such a way to appease the English-speaking community. That's how she won the Nobel Prize, but that's one opinion. I found that statement, that article very interesting. What am I doing now? The next one. I can hardly see this. Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, Greek lessons. I recommended this book to another book club. Out of 4 book clubs I belong, 3 of them I facilitate. And usually I come up with books I like to recommend, and they usually take my advice. And this Greek lessons, you look at the themes. It's about memory, it's about loss, it's about cultural connection. Again, I'm not going to give you a summary of the book because you can just click it on your phone, on your ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT will spit out a long summary, longer than you want. So it's about cultural connection, homeland and childhood. It's about passage of time through the lens of a young girl and her teacher. It's about a young girl who's learning Greek from her teacher. Very interesting. Next one.
And by the way, Dr. O, so we received 10 copies total of The Vegetarian and The Human Act.
A Human Act is another
from the Korean Cultural Center. So five for giveaways at the end of your talk.
Oh, okay. I did read. We did read at one of my book clubs. We did read The Human Act, but I didn't talk about that. Let me see. No Greek lessons, huh? Okay. Oh, we all learn, right? In social studies or in English language arts, we can use thematic approach. We can talk about some of the common themes. And also I'm big on interdisciplinary connections. Whatever you learn in literature, it can spill over to your history and so forth. So as a teacher, you're all familiar with that. And if you're familiar with our history, social studies framework, I'm sure you know all about this cross curricular connections and all that. Yeah. Okay. So next one. LAUS. Are you all from LAUSD or from other school districts too? Other school districts too? Yeah. Sorry that I talk like as if the whole world evolves around LAUSD. I can't help it. I spent my 42 years of my youth for LAUSD, and the youth is gone now. But I love my post-retirement life. Free retirement brings freedom and flexibility, and I decide what I want to do, when I want to do, how I want to do, and what I want to do. It's lovely. It's freedom. But LAUSD is big on culturally responsive teaching. You're all familiar with, I hope, history, social studies framework. I think the last one was revised in 2024. And you can contextualize the novels with Korean history, social changes, and global issues. Of course, you're the one, you're the boss. You know your students better. You know your parents' expectations better. So, you got to adapt these books suitable for different age groups. I just want to say the Korean educators in Korea last month told me that the vegetarian was banned in some schools, in some high schools, and provide background on Korean culture and history. I learned a lot from Dr. Suzie, my previous presenter. The next one is, of course you can do art projects, from the imagery, from the novels. I emphasize reading a lot, and I always say to students and teachers, you read about it, you talk about it, you write about it, and young children, you draw about it. No matter how busy I was, I used to attend the monthly principals book club, where we would meet at a middle school nearby, and all the principals from high school, not all, the volunteering, optional, principals from high schools and middle schools and elementary schools will meet once a month. We'll read a book and we'll talk about implications on school leadership, and I loved it. Because I loved it so much, I had 40 teachers. I asked my teachers if they want to join the teacher study group or teachers book club. Of course, out of 40 teachers, only about 10 of them were interested. So I supported them by buying books, recommending books. And one time I was observing a classroom. This teacher was actually doing a fabulous, I noticed a fabulous strategies. So I asked her, where did you get that idea? I'd like to share with other teachers. You know what she said? I got that idea from the book that you bought us. So out of this crazy job of being a principal, that was my moment, my rewarding moment. And then my parents always want to do what we are doing. What are you being trained on? And they like to do so. My parents also had some of them parent book club, and I recommended some books on child raising methods such as Mindset by Carol Dweck and Paul Tough, How to Raise a Child. It takes grit and character and all that. Paul Tough, T-O-U-G-H, and they liked the books. Creative writing, students can write poetry or short stories inspired by imagery from the novels. You already know these ideas. Some of the themes are, let's read some of these themes. Ready, go. Thank you. So, I mean, you don't have to address all these themes at one time. It's too overwhelming. You just choose one theme from these books. These are common themes, and research together. Students and teachers, we research together, we learn together. When we used to talk about oppression, it had nothing to do with these two books. I used to introduce Langston Hughes' I Too Am an American, and I used to introduce Does the Spring Come to a Lost Land by Lee Sang-hwa. It's a Korean poem, and like compare the oppression. Okay, I said some of the suggestions I had in terms of themes of the vegetarian were autonomy, society's pressure, expectations, and personal choice of being a vegetarian. Themes of the Greek lessons, language, culture, identity, and memory, childhood memory. Oh, I used to be big on literature circles. Literature circles can be applied at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. As a matter of fact, some of the principals, we were visiting high schools and middle schools and elementary schools for our own professional development. And I saw literature circle at an English class in high school. How many of you know literature circle? Oh, good. So, did you raise your hand too? How many of you are very familiar with literature circle? Gary? Oh, it's quite. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I learned it from one of my teachers. It's an excellent way of student-centered, student-engaged, student-led discussions. When I visit classrooms, I was looking at only two things. I don't want to overwhelm my teachers saying, I want to see this, I want to see that. No. I said, teachers, I only want to see two things. One is questioning strategies. Rather than you always ask questions, I want students to be able to generate questions based on what they learn. So that's questioning techniques. Another one was student engagement. Rather than you do all the talking, I like to see how your students are being engaged, kind of thing. So I just saw those two areas. And literature circle was an excellent way for student engagement or student-led discussions. You know all of this, right? You don't have to have all these roles. You could choose some of these roles. You could have discussion director. That person, you form a small groups, and that person develop a list of questions. Passage picker, artist, connector, vocabulary enricher, and summarizer. And then when you form a small group, you don't assign the same role all the time. You alternate the roles. So next time, one time you could be a summarizer, another time you could be an illustrator. Kids love that. Kids are so engaged. Every student, regardless of their background or linguistic or cultural background, they get to participate. If you have a brand new child from another country and doesn't understand English, that person could be a timekeeper. Everybody knows how to tell time in any language, right? Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who are, Gary, you're very familiar with literature circle. What are some of the roles that you have used in the classrooms? Or are there some other roles that I have not mentioned?
You mean within literature circles?
When you do literature circle.
Well, I think connector is really important because that's going to elucidate critical thinking. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to what you were saying about interdisciplinary connections, because if a student is, while they're reading, if they can connect it to some of the other subject matter content that they're learning in the classroom, that really shows deep learning, that shows long-term learning. So that's one of the most the roles I really emphasize as an opportunity for each student. And then you just think long-term vocabulary enricher, because we're all thinking like eventually they're going to take the SAT, right? So vocabulary building is also going to improve fluency and comprehension. So those are two of my most important roles. And then the discussion director helps build leadership, and many people talk about leadership. And you only need to find little ways in the classroom. You don't have to be solving the world's problems to be a leader. But this is a really good example of how to be a leader, just by directing the discussion.
Thank you. Every student is involved, meaningfully involved. Therefore, I didn't see any discipline problems when they did literature circle. Do you agree? Yes.
Engaging, very engaging.
Yes, very engaging. So in terms of student engagement, I feel it's one of the best ways to engage them by doing literature circles. Okay, any other would like to share your literature circle? There were so many hands were up. Okay, well, let's move on then. Okay. Okay, these are some of my suggestions for your classroom activities about these two books. The first one, let's read it together. Let's read it together. Ready, go. Compare and contrast. We do a lot of that in the classrooms. We always ask our students to determine similarities and differences, right? So that's another way of critical thinking. Oh, Sung Kim told me I had to come up with the quiz, so I did the best I could. In my previous presentation, I never had to come up with quiz, so this must be some new trend now. I'm learning every day. First of all, these are my questions. You might also have a very good questions. So let's read these questions together. Ready, go. Number one. Number two. Number three. I always talk about voice and choice. When teachers or students have their own voice and choice, they're more successful. In fact, I liked it so much that was one of my graduation speech. One of my parents liked it. He even asked for the copy of it. So I thought maybe that was a good speech. I don't know. Number four, ready, go. Number five. Yeah. Can you write a persuasive letter to Steven Spielberg or maybe Bong Joon-ho? Because yes.
Something that I just thought about.
Could somebody give him the? Yeah.
Just something that I just thought about when it comes to student choice. A lot of the times I allow them to make the test for the lesson that's being taught. Mm-hmm. So that is a way for them to produce questions regarding the material. And once they have that, they give the test to another student in the class.
Mm-hmm. Each other, they can ask questions, to each other. When students generate, I'm a strong believer that when students generate their own questions, that means they understood the information, the concept you taught. So I used to emphasize to my teachers, whatever you teach, whatever information or concept you teach them, have students come up with questions. And you could, not all individual questions, you could form a small group and they could come up with questions. And teachers are great. And okay, next. Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm so used to telling people to say next, but I got to do it myself. Sorry about that. Oh, now I'm talking about a little bit about the film. Parasite. My gosh, Jeannie Shim taught me that. I was wondering why the popularity of this Korean movie Parasite rather, I think can be attributed to the fact that the movie depicts class divide, inequality, and social stratification. It's about economic disparity and struggle for upward mobility. So the barriers between social classes, between haves and have-nots, resonates widely and globally. That's why I think Parasite made history as the first non-English language film to win the Academy Award for Best Picture in 2020, thanks to director Bong Joon-ho. He's like a Korean version of Steven Spielberg, in my opinion. his skillful storytelling, again, Korean counterpart of Steven Spielberg. And Jeannie Shim just taught me that the New York Times, very recently, the New York Times selected top 100 best movies of the 21st century, and Parasite took the first prize. Unbelievable. What a remarkable achievement in a reader survey conducted by the New York Times. Another one, I haven't seen the Parasite yet. How many of you have seen the Parasite? Wow, so widely known, okay. And, but I have seen the extraordinary Tony Wu, and I will talk about that. 감독관님, 첫째 링크 조금 클릭해 주세요. That's the director, Bong Joon-ho, Korean counterpart of Steven Spielberg. 그 다음에는 없어요. 이것 전부예요. 네, 감사합니다. Oh, the 100 best movies of the 21st century by the New York Times. That's remarkable. Did you know that? Yeah. I mean, I read the New York Times daily, if not weekly. I didn't know that until Jeannie Shim taught me that. Next. I gotta say next, right? Hey, I'm so used to having another person to advance my slides. Oh, okay. In terms of extraordinary attorney Wu, I personally saw this one with my 9-year-old granddaughter on Netflix when I visited her last year. And it's a story about this brilliant attorney who tackles challenges in and out of the courtroom as a rookie at a very prominent law firm. And she's autistic. She's on autism spectrum. So I noticed that I read in the Korea Times recently, I don't know whether Sung Kim, you had a chance to read. There's a Korean American community organization made of parents with their school-age children with special needs, and they're using this film as their role model, as an inspiration that people with disability, that people with special needs can achieve, kind of thing. So 이거 링크 감독관님, 이거 링크 이거 클릭해 주세요. 비디오이에요.
제 이름은 똑바로 읽어도 거꾸로 읽어도 우영우입니다. 기러기 토마토 스위스 인도인 별똥별 우영우. 역삼요?
되게 재밌어요.
이 아가씨가 변호사예요?
형 정체가 뭡니까? 바보인 척하는 줄 놀리는 거 아니야?
우영우 변호사, 건방지게 누가 누굴 가르치려고 그러는 거야 지금?
야, 변호사는 그거만 잘하면 돼.
있어다! 있습니다!
혹시 눈에? 이런 문제를 한 바다가 안 내려오면 누가 내려옵니까?
나는 변호사님이랑 같은 편 하고 싶어요. 변호사님 같은 변호사가 내 편을 들어주면 좋겠어요.
있습니다!
Thank you. 네. Did I do this? I have this senior moment. I think we talked about it. I didn't get your answers, but we went over that, right? We read my questions. Yeah. Oh, okay. Jeannie Shim has awards for, rewards for you, prize for you. Okay, number one, what's the significance of a Hankan's Nobel Prize in Literature Award in Korea? You won the book? Yes.
First South Korean winner and oh my gosh, the woman. So first South Korean woman.
Okay, could you kindly